Caitlyn Jenner is finally speaking out on why her daughter Kendall has completely cut her off, and it looks like Kris Jenner might have something to do with this.
And you never really heard my side of the story. You never heard my opinion at all.
Caitlyn's mom, Esther Jenner, recently died, and both Kendall and Kylie skipped their grandmother's funeral, leading to speculation that they're no longer on speaking terms with Caitlyn. Kendall actually used to be super close to Caitlyn following her transition, and she claimed they developed an even closer bond once Caitlyn came out. However, rumors are going around that Kris Jenner turned Kendall and Kylie against Caitlyn after she exposed Kris in her memoir. But what exactly did Caitlyn say about Kendall banning her?
Am I hurt? I'm disappointed. I can't say hurt. I'm disappointed.
Once upon a time, Caitlyn Jenner, formerly Bruce Jenner, was a constant presence in the media thanks to her appearance on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. However, following her 2017 gender transition, Caitlyn's relationship with the Jenners, including the two children she shares with Kris, Kendall and Kylie, took a turn for the worse. And while fans initially speculated that Caitlyn's children cut her off because they had a problem with her gender identity, sources are now saying that Kris turned Kendall and Kylie against Caitlyn after Caitlyn started spilling Kris's dirty secrets in public. To give you some context, Kris and Caitlyn went through a lot of ups and downs over the course of their 2-decade-long marriage. After Kris's first husband, Robert Kardashian, divorced her for cheating on him with soccer player Todd Waterman, Kris asked her friends to set her up with high-profile men, and that's how she met Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner, who at the time was known as Bruce. After just 5 months of dating, Kris and Caitlyn got married, bringing their two families together. Kris had 4 children from her marriage with Robert Kardashian, while Caitlyn also had 4 children from her previous 2 marriages. Kris and Caitlyn welcomed 2 more children together, Kendall in 1995 and Kylie in 1997. Initially, Kris and Caitlyn earned their living by traveling all over the U.S. with Caitlyn giving motivational speeches and Kris acting as her manager. Sometime around the early 2000s, they decided to try for a family reality show. And while Caitlyn claimed in her memoir that Keeping Up with the Kardashians was her idea, Kris later denied this and claimed Caitlyn made it all up. In her book, The Secrets of My Life, Caitlyn revealed she got the idea for the show after watching The Osbournes with Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne. And when she suggested it to Kris, Kris pitched the idea to Ryan Seacrest. However, Kris denied Keeping Up with the Kardashians was Caitlyn's idea, and she told The Hollywood Reporter in 2017, "It's so absurd. I'm not sure what the motivation was for her to say something like that. Maybe somebody should remind her that it's called Keeping Up with the Kardashians." But that's not the only thing Caitlyn exposed about Kris in her memoir. She also claimed that Kris controlled all finances during their marriage and didn't allow her to have her own checking account. Caitlyn also told Vanity Fair that for the first 15 years, Kris needed her more because she was the breadwinner. However, once the money started rolling in from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kris started mistreating her. "A lot of times she wasn't very nice," Caitlyn said. "People would see how I got mistreated. She controlled the money, all that kind of stuff." But once again, Kris denied everything and called Caitlyn a liar.
How much a gardener was, and in the book writes, "Well, Kris didn't need me anymore. All the checks for Keeping Up with the Kardashians, they all went to Kris." Went to Kris? How about it went to the mortgage and the insurance and education? You start talking about how I was hoarding money when we didn't even have it?
And then after Caitlyn came out as a trans woman in 2015, Kris claimed that she had no idea her husband was struggling with gender dysmorphia, while Caitlyn insisted that Kris was aware of it from the early days of their marriage. In her 2021 interview with WSJ Magazine, Kris said that Caitlyn's transition came as a complete shock, saying it was something that the family had to absorb and try to wrap their heads around and learn about. However, Caitlyn told Larry King that Kris knew all about her gender identity issues for years because she had already started getting small procedures done before she and Kris met.
Oh, she didn't know, which of course she did, but I'm sure I was downplaying it, and just things like that. It's my opinion of things that happen.
You're not speaking now.
And and I've never been able to tell my opinion, and speak out on my
Are you
behalf.
hurt
So,
that she's reacting this way?
am I hurt? I'm disappointed. I can't say hurt. I'm disappointed.
Another reason why Kris was so upset about Caitlyn's book was that Caitlyn implied that Kris betrayed her late friend Nicole Brown and profited from her murder. It is now commonly accepted that Nicole was murdered by O.J. Simpson. However, O.J. was acquitted, and it was Robert Kardashian who helped him escape justice. However, Caitlyn revealed in her book that both Kris and Robert knew that O.J. was guilty. Kris believed he had done it the minute we heard of her murder and the circumstances surrounding it, Caitlyn wrote in her memoir. And this is why Kris reportedly decided to take revenge on Caitlyn by spilling all these secrets by turning Kendall and Kylie against her.
There's lies that are printed in a book that lives there for the end of time. So your children are going to read this book about their grandparent and have a story that's fabricated.
Both Kendall and Kylie initially accepted Caitlyn's transition, and Kendall actually claimed she became even closer to Caitlyn after she came out. In 2020, Kendall and Caitlyn talked to People magazine, and Caitlyn said if either one of her daughters had a problem with her transition, she wouldn't have done it. Kendall then added, "When my dad came out as transgender, our relationship grew. She could finally be honest with me. We could talk about the deep emotions she was feeling through the time." Kendall also told People that she's been a daddy's girl her whole life, and she always had a special bond with Caitlyn. "I used to watch old Olympic videos of my dad and wish I could be part of those spectacular moments with her," Kendall said, adding, "My favorite thing to learn from my dad is about my dad, inspiring then and inspiring now." In fact, as recently as 2022, Caitlyn and Kendall were seemingly on great terms, and they were seen hanging out together at an NBA game in support of Kendall's then-boyfriend Devin Booker. One fan commented at the time, "It's nice to see Kendall with Caitlyn, especially as Kris Jenner tried to stop her and Kylie from seeing her." However, something's changed over the past few months, and there are several clues that suggest that Caitlyn and Kendall are no longer on speaking terms. A few months ago, fans noticed that Caitlyn unfollowed Kendall on Instagram, leading to speculation that they had a falling out behind the scenes. And then, earlier this month, news broke that Kendall and Kylie missed the funeral of Caitlyn's mother, Esther, who passed away at the age of 96. Caitlyn paid tribute to Esther on an Instagram post with a heartfelt message that said, "I am heartbroken to announce my mom passed away yesterday morning peacefully. Losing a mother is unique in the sense that she is the only person that loved me my entire life. I will miss her tremendously. She was just a few weeks shy of 97 and lived a full life. Love you, Mom." However, neither Kylie nor Kendall posted anything about losing their grandmother or acknowledged it publicly at all. Instead of attending the funeral, Kylie jetted off to Paris to watch Beyoncé perform as part of her Renaissance concert tour, while Kendall was seen on vacation in the south of France with her friends. Many people are now speculating that it was probably Kris who told Kendall and Kylie not to post anything about their grandmother, and they're convinced that Kris is using Kendall and Kylie to get back at Caitlyn for exposing her. "I'm sure Kris gave them strict orders. They're pathetic," one fan said. And another person wrote, "It's because Caitlyn went against the matriarch Kris. If any one of the other baby daddies did that, they would also be cut out because Kris would not stand for it." Notice how Kim's divorce became a reality once Kanye started publicly bashing Kris? But let's hear your thoughts on this. How do you feel about Kendall and Kylie skipping their grandmother's funeral? And do you think Kris turned the kids against Caitlyn because Caitlyn exposed her? Comment down below, and don't miss out on this next story.